Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. We will begin our EPISD regular board meeting. Today being Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. The time is 5:53, and we call this meeting to order. Mr. Mijares, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. At this time, we will go through roll call. We have Ms. Hilda P. Martinez, our Vice President, present. Mr. Christopher Hitler, Secretary, present. Mr. Victor E. Perry, Trustee, present. Mr. Morris Lipson, Trustee, present. Mr. Jaime Cibrera, Trustee, present. Mr. Tom Gonzalez, Trustee, present. Mr. Samuel Mijares, our Superintendent, present. We have Mr. Victor de la Cerda, our Attorney, here present, and myself, Jorge Barrera, present. At this time, if we can have a moment of silence for one of our community members, also a employee of the Customs and Border Protection, and brother of our athletic director, Eric Villaseñor, for Mr. René Villaseñor. Thank you, and you rest in peace. Now we will move to citizens' communications and recognitions. We do have a citizens' communication. We have Mr. Luis Padilla.
Thank you, guys. First of all, I just want to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for this opportunity. I'm here because we run a nonprofit organization called Play for God organization, and we rent out the gyms, CC Wynn High School. So what we do is we do a basketball program. So we get teams from out of town to come down, teams from Eagle Pass to come down. I know, Mr. Mijares, thank you for every year, man. I'm here asking for help. I know you give us so much, the price reduced down a little bit, but I would love if we could reduce a little bit more. I won't say the amount, but I would love to have more involved with the kids, more involved in the youth. A couple of years ago, I'm talking about 10, we had over 100 teams. That's over 1,000 youth involved. Now we have only 30, 35 teams. That's 350 kids involved. We would love to impact way more, way more. I know we could do it. We did it before when I did it for the Boys Club. I did it for 12 years there, and the price of the facility was zero. We pay for the PD and janitor. That's awesome. Safety is the most important thing. But I would love if we could reduce a little bit more so we have more kids involved. Like I said, 2019-20 down, we had over 100 teams, 110. I was 1,000 kids involved. Now we have 35, 36 teams. Why? The reason why, because the price is so high. The price is so high to rent a gym, and more kids can't afford it. So we want more kids involved. So I ask you guys if you could please talk to each other. If you could do something, find a way we could reduce that price down. And like Mr. Mijares, I said, thank you so much for everything you've done for the program. I would love if we could have more. Not only Eagle Pass kids come. We got Del Rio, Carrizo, Crit City, Uvalde, Canipa, Cotula, way inside Mexico, come down over here and play in Eagle Pass. Back then, we used to use the Eagle Pass High School, 2 gyms, and the Eagle Pass Junior High, and the Boys and Girls Club. We have 4 gyms involved. I would love to come to that same agreement, and we could use more gyms. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much for the attention, and if you could talk about it, it would be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we will move to recognitions. We have recognition of TASB Buy Board's rebate check to the district.
Good evening, Mr. President, distinguished members of the board, and of course, Superintendent Mijares. Thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you this evening. Our first recognition for tonight is to recognize the TASB rebate check with Buy Board. TASB Buy Board Cooperative is pleased to present Eagle Pass ISD with a rebate check in the amount of $20,577.61. The Buy Board Cooperative was created by TASB over 26 years ago to provide support, operational efficiencies, purchasing power to all of the school districts and members throughout Texas. Buy Board presently provides services at a national level. This annual rebate is based on EPISD's Buy Board purchases throughout the fiscal year and is approved by the TASB Buy Board Cooperative's Board of Trustees. Buy Board Cooperative would like to take this time to express appreciation for EPISD's ongoing trust, support, and participation in this cooperative. Thank you, Buy Board, and thank you, EPISD. Up next, Perfecto Mancha is proud to announce the achievements of their very own fourth grade mathematician, Eliana Limon. The Mustangs would like to congratulate Eliana for nabbing in the nation's top spot in Imagine Math's Winter Math-Along. Eliana represented her school in district at a national level, cementing herself in Imagine Math history. Way to go, Eliana, and way to go, Mustangs. We do invite the parents to come forward for the photo as well. If we can get the parents. And if there's anyone from the campus or other parents who'd like to join to get the photo right now, here's your time to do so. Got it? Continuing on our Imagine Math trek, this time we journey to Armando Serna as they would like to applaud their very own fifth grade stallion, Lina Villalobos, for her efforts that have kept her on the Imagine Math state list for several months. Not only is Lina on the list, she has kept her second place status in the state of Texas this whole time. Congratulations, Lina. Way to represent those stallions. And now we invite the parents to join us. Armando Cerna's cheer squad recently took the mat and showed their competitors just what Stallion Strong means. The Stallion cheerleaders participated in the Texas Cheerleader Competition in San Marcos, Texas. These ladies jumped, tumbled, and cheered their way into first place. Keep up the great work, Stallion Cheer. Right now we are setting up the girls, but parents, you are welcome to come to the middle of the aisle to get your shots right now before we take our official photo. If there's any parents who'd like to get their shot after we finish setting up the ladies. Graves Elementary's Tiger Cheer Squad has certainly had a very busy competition season thus far. The girls first attended Red Line's Fall Classic in San Antonio and cleaned house in the school novice division. Then they continued their dominance at the Open State Texas Championship in San Marcos, where they claimed the top spot once again in the large elementary intermediate division. Keep snatching medals and trophies, ladies. We're all rooting for you. Once again, we are assembling the team, but if there are any parents that would like to come to the middle aisle to get your shot, you can use this time to do so. Bump, set, spike. Congratulations are in order for the Liberty Elementary Division III girls volleyball team, who won the City Volleyball Championship, making them your 2024 City Champs. Way to show the competition who dominated that court. Way to go, Lady Eagles. Once again, parents, at this time, you are welcome to come to the middle aisle to get your photo. Eagle Pass High School is proud to announce their 23 students that have been recognized by College Board as National First Generation and Hispanic Recognition Award winners or National Rural and Small Town Award winners. Way to make your way into the future, Eagles, and keep showing College Board what you are made of. Okay, parents, once again, as always, you are invited to join us in the middle aisle for your photo.
Doing? How you been? I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you. You too. How you been? Hanging in there. You?
All right. Now we will move to district reports and presentations. We have 1, 2, 3 together. ¿Cómo andamos?
Hello. Yes, we have the 3 reports that we have every month, and we continue to do very well with our finances. The first report is a financial report on page 47. I'm going to go over that information real briefly. This financial report is as of January 31st. It includes 5 months of operation. Our revenues continue to exceed our expenditures. Revenues are 71.4 million in the M&O fund, and our expenditures are 37.2. We've received, so far in the first 5 months, we've received 63.4% of our revenues have already been received. We did collect a lot of taxes this last month, most of the taxes, and our expenditures are at about 40%. Utilities, we continue to do well on the utilities. That's the other report that you have in front of you on your agenda. Last year, we were able to save quite a bit of money on the utilities. We have 3 months. That report is for 3 months. And we spent so far in 3 months, $881,968. We have a $4.1 million budget on utilities throughout the district. We've spent 21%. After 3 months, we're looking at saving about almost 4%, which is about 150,000. Tax report, like I said, in January, we collected a big portion of the taxes, and we're at about 75% collection, and we still need about 6 more months to go. The collection rate for the taxes, total collection rate, is gonna be between 96% and 98%, which is a good percentage of collections. Are there any questions?
Questions by the board? If not, we will move. Thank you, Mr. Mijares. We will move to number 4, construction projects update by Mr. Davis Powell, our project architect.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss the construction projects that are ongoing in the district. A very short presentation tonight that'll hopefully bring you up to speed on where we are with our construction projects. The objective is pretty simple: update of construction progress on district projects. Is there any chance we could dim the lights a little bit? Okay, thank you. We'll start with the oldest, or the ones that have been around the longest. This is the Student Activity Center baseball, softball bleacher covers. This contractor is J.P. Sanchez. The contract amount is $2.49 million, and our estimated completion is October of this year. This project has had some delays, primarily because once the concrete was tested, it was not performing as was specified. And due to the complexity and substantial nature of this structure, everything is cantilevered. In other words, it overhangs the entire bleachers without any post in the front. It means it's putting a lot of stress on the concrete. And because of that, once we started getting those bad reports in, we pretty much had to shut down the progress or the construction. We had to do a little bit more testing to see exactly what was going on. And then once we had that information, we had to redesign the foundations for this new structure on both the softball and the baseball field. However, we are started back up again, and we have the new footings in place over at the softball stadium. That's what you're looking at here. And then we will be redoing the footings at the baseball stadium once the season is over. It became too problematic to try to do the construction while the baseball season is going on. Again, because of the complexity of the structure itself, where men would have to be working over the top of the bleachers, and to try to shut that down at the end of the day and have a baseball game just did not seem practical. So until the end of the season, this project is kind of on hold in regard to further construction. The steel is there, and if you've seen it, you realize what a substantial structure this is. These are very big beams that are going to be spanning a very long way. And so again, we took a lot of caution once we got some indication that the concrete wasn't performing as we wanted. And that has been the primary reason this project has not proceeded the way we wanted it to. But as I mentioned, it is started back up again. And once the baseball season is over, we should be wrapping it up in in October. The next project is the Eagle Pass High School Counseling Office remodel. This project is ongoing in the mezzanine of the library at the Eagle Pass High School. The contractor on this one is Frontera Construction. The contract amount is $1.3 million. We estimate it's going to complete either by the end of this month or the first week of March. We are waiting the elevator installation. The machine itself has been on site since the middle of December, but they were missing a couple of parts, and until they get all the parts on site, Otis, the elevator company, has not been willing to start on the construction. They are scheduled to start the end of this week, and it's supposed to be about a 2-week installation process. If that is the case, then we should be done by the end of February on this project. A few pictures to kind of let you know where we are. You can see that the furniture's been delivered, installed. It's quite a bit different than what we started with. I should have thrown some before pictures in here, but it's very, very different. This is the elevator is this piece, elevator shaft is this piece over here. There's a stairway that goes up to the counseling office now. There's a separate door to enter into the counseling department. So you come in a door right off the main lobby, right across from the principal's office, and go into this elevator lobby. You can go up through the elevator or around and go up the stair into the counseling lobby area. And then there's a receptionist there that can distribute you into the various rooms depending on who you are going to see that day. So I think it's going to be a neat improvement to visiting the counselors at the high school. The next project is the Eagle Pass High track relocation project. This contractor is also J.P. Sanchez. One thing you will notice as we go through the presentation is we have two contractors. We are not blessed with a whole lot of general contractors to choose from in our area, unfortunately. And so JP and Frontera seem to be the ones that get pretty much all of the work in the area, unless it gets to be a very, very large project. And this one is quite substantial, but again, we were pretty limited on who bid the project. JP was awarded the project. It was a little over $5 million at first, and then the school board added another 1.3, I think, by a change order. So we're currently at 6.32 million. We're estimating completion at the end of the summer in August of 2025. The rough grading and building pad is complete, and work is being performed. What you see in this picture is work being performed on the sewer main that belongs to the city that we had to relocate to accommodate the new track layout. The building is already on site. The building steel is on site, awaiting the foundation and before the steel gets put up. The next project is the high school cross-country trails. It was agreed that it would be good to get the student runners out of the street and keep them kind of on campus. And so as a result of that, we've been working on trails that pretty much go around the perimeter of both high schools. The contractor for this project is RKW Landscaping out of Uvalde. The contract amount is $518,050. We're estimating it'll complete in April. CC Wynn has already been complete, so if you've been at that campus, you may have noticed kind of a dirt trail that runs around the perimeter, and that's the trail that was developed for the cross-country team. Some adjustments are going to be needed to the layout at the high school that we're currently working on because of the construction that's going on both at the track project and the multi-purpose project, which I'll talk about in just a second. As you can see, it's a 5-foot wide trail with cinder running, with a running surface. And I think that they're both one's a little over, one's a little under 1.5 miles on the perimeter. The next project is the high school food service remodel project. This was a project that is actually 3 different contracts, but due to the funding, the only one that could be handled as kind of a general construction project was the remodel of the kitchen itself, the actual construction component. The 3 components were the equipment that's going to go into the kitchen, which is, I think, being funded in part by a federal grant. Also, the graphics and cafeteria finishes were upgraded, and that was also eligible for some federal funding, but for the construction part, the putting up of bricks and mortar was not. So this is the 3rd component of that that was awarded to Frontier Construction, contract amount of $2.1 million. We're estimating it'll come online in March. The kitchen areas are complete at this point. So really what we're doing is awaiting the equipment, which again is by a separate contract, to be delivered. Our contractor will install the equipment, and then the project will be complete. Here's another shot. This is the high school. So you can kind of see the graphics going on in the cafeteria in the background. But this area is the new serving area. Each high school will have 5 individual serving areas offering different menus, different things for the kids to eat depending on what their taste is for the day. So we think it's going to be a significant improvement to the way the kids experience the cafeteria at both high schools. This is the CC Wynn cafeteria, and you can see the graphics in there have changed quite a bit. The challenge here was trying to work with the aqua color that was pretty predominant in the original school 20 years ago. So the designers came up with kind of the lime green, black, gray concept that I think works pretty well. And then this will be the serving area. And there'll be kind of like TV menus on top up here that, again, are showing the different offerings from the cafeteria that day. The next project is the high school multi-purpose buildings. This is a project that's being built by J.P. Sanchez. The contract amount is $4.95 million. We estimate this completion to be also in August of 25. This is a 10,700 square foot building that was primarily developed for the dance and cheer teams. As you can see in this photograph, it's an interesting building because it's 2 separate buildings that are basically put together. 2 different practice spaces with a weight area, locker rooms or changing rooms, an office, and then a large area to do the drills and practicing of the cheer and dance teams. So you have this one, again, it's divided into 2 spaces. One level is up high, then the other level kind of steps down. The reason we did that was because of the terrain we had to work with. Again, the buildings are 10,700 square feet. This is a picture of the high school from the roof of the locker rooms, I believe. And so you can see that the steel is already progressing nicely. This is an image from the parking lot that's behind the girls' gym that'll actually, you'll be able to park there and walk right into this building when we've got all the parking and sidewalks in place. This is the progress that's going on over at CC Wynn. This building is located behind the field house. So this building should be ready for the first foundation pour, I think this week. And so the foundation, once the foundation goes up and is completed, there's the field house in the foreground, and the metal building is on site ready to be erected once the foundation is complete. So that's the end of the presentation. If there's any questions or comments, love Love to hear them.
Mr. Powell, you said the foundation at the baseball and softball fields were weak, and construction didn't start till after the season. Are they strong enough to hold all the games that we're playing this year?
Yeah, the foundations that are in question have nothing to do with the bleachers at all.
Oh, okay.
The intent in the original design was to keep everything away from what's existing. And really that was the challenge of the design, and what makes it a little bit more complicated than, say, the structures that are over at the city complex. I think the foundations are not being interfered with at all.
It's not going to be
They're
like
actually
the
supporting
football
bleachers.
stadium, the way we had to not sit in a certain area.
Correct. There's nothing like that going on.
Okay. And my second question was the track at the high school. When's the completed date? Estimated
The track should be usable in August.
in August.
Yeah, the changing room, I think, might need to be extended probably into September, October, but I think the track should be available.
And the field will be able to be used for football practice by then?
The summer workouts are, I would like to say yes. I cannot guarantee that.
Okay. It'll be close.
Close.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one. Going back to the counselors' completion, I know Mr. Salinas answered my question about the parts being on site for the elevator. They will not send anybody until all parts are on site. Do we have all parts on site?
We do now.
You do now?
As of last week.
Okay. So who will reach out to Otis? Will it be the contractor or yourself, or who will reach
The
out to Otis?
contractor has been on the phone for the last 3 weeks at least every day with us.
I understand there's only one or two companies in the state of Texas that do that kind of
Correct.
work, so they got a monopoly on it.
Once
But
you sign their contract, you're pretty much at their mercy.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
And my other question was about the track. Have we, or has anybody discussed the use of the track as far as the all-weather track at the high school, the logistics and things like that? And it goes hand in hand with the cross-country trail. It's flagged through where the football team practices right now. And there's some times where the football team is on the sideline, so to speak, and where they're standing is where that flag for that trail to go through. So
Yeah, I walked it this afternoon, and we'll have to adjust that.
have you talked to the campus coordinator or anything? Are they going to use the same football practice area? Will the football team be practicing on the new all-weather track, or just about logistics of it? And, before we run into issues.
Okay, so I'm going to try to take them one at a time.
Oh, sorry about that.
The football team, we're building the new track, all-weather track. The football team, it's going to have a synthetic turf field. So yeah, that will be where the football team practices. The synthetic turf, they don't like you to walk on it in cleats. Usually we are given mats to walk across the track surface, so you're not tearing up the surface of the track with the cleats. So that's one component. Now the all-weather, the cross-country piece, and when I was walking it this afternoon, I think I observed what you're saying here, is there's a practice field up behind the field house where the
Correct.
flags actually are right up into the sideline area.
Correct.
So I'm going to propose that we relocate that piece of the cross-country trail. And that's one of the areas that I think we do need to look at relocating how we lay out that cross-country trail.
Yeah.
I wanted it to go down that, there's a drainage component that goes kind of behind that area, and that's where I wanted it to go. So we'll be looking and seeing if we can make that happen.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Well, the building that, there's going to be a building at that new all-weather track for changing rooms, dressing rooms, I
Right, there's
imagine?
going to be 4 dressing or changing rooms as part of that building. There's going to be public restrooms,
Okay.
men's and women's room, and storage for the track and field events.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they were going to have to haul everything. There'll be a storage and things of that nature.
Right there,
So,
and it's going to have a access by vehicle that's big enough for gators and
Okay.
things too. get the equipment in and out of.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Thank you.
We will now move to presentation by Schneider Electric on short-term and long-term planning for deferred HVAC needs. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Board President, members of the board, thank you for having us today. My name is Aaron Garcia, and I'm with Schneider Electric. And also with me today is Paige Bleakley. I am the account manager for our company, and that handles the South Texas region. And Paige is our project development manager. And what we'll be covering today is we'll be presenting the findings off of or basically a report that we put together on an audit that the district approved previously to some of the newer board members that are here today, right before y'all got elected, and the district gave us authorization to come in, look at the district to see what there was on what we can do to help complement what the district's already doing. And we knew that you were looking at a possible bond in the near future. So I was visiting one day with Mr. Barrera and Mr. Mijares, and I was explaining to them some of the things that we were doing for San Felipe del Rio School District. And they said, hey, well, maybe you guys can come and take a look at our buildings and see what, if there's anything that would be beneficial to our district that you guys can bring to the table. So one of the things that we've been helping with San Felipe del Rio that we'd like to entertain and hopefully support y'all with is on your bond efforts and creating a short-term, long-term goals based on what your needs are, and coming in and helping you budget for those projects. So what we're going to be covering today is the project opportunities that we saw through the audit, some of your immediate needs and your long-term needs that are needed, the benefits of doing this, and the utility savings that would enhance the district with. Give you a high-level schedule of what that would look like if you were to move forward with the project, and then also talk about some other future opportunities. One of the things that was discussed back when we first presented was opportunities to bring in grants and also renewable type projects to the district. So we've been helping support our districts that we've been working with on the grant opportunities on state and federal type programs. And then we'll talk about the next steps as well. So if you jump to the next page, which is the project goals, one of the main focuses, or a few of the main focuses, was of course modernizing the buildings for the district, and also to help maximize the utility savings throughout the district, to reduce the maintenance and operational cost, and then also to address those mechanical needs. One of the main things we focused on was how can we bring a softer landing to the bond that y'all are looking at maybe doing in the near future. So as we go through this report, we'll be able to showcase some of the areas that will help soften that landing. At this point, I'm going to bring Paige up to discuss the project opportunities.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for the opportunity to share with you tonight. So I'm Paige Bleakley. I'm one of the project managers for Schneider Electric. And a couple of months ago, one of our senior energy engineers and myself, we came out and we walked a lot of the buildings at the district. So this next page that's called the Scope Measures Matrix has all the buildings that we visited, which is not everything in the district, but we were focused on HVAC, building automation, electrical needs, and then really anything that we observed in terms of deferred maintenance across your buildings. And so the matrix, I'm not going to go line by line. Obviously, you guys are well aware of a lot of the needs across the district, especially at a few of your oldest campuses. But the items circled are noted as basically the highest priority needs. And those are focused mainly at Eagle Pass High School, CC Wynn High School, which, as you know, is coming up on 20 years old and has some pretty deferred maintenance equipment there as well, and Eagle Pass Junior High. There's obviously needs across the district at other schools as well, but this is just a two-page scope matrix that is a way of summarizing all the needs, and so anything marked, checked with a green box underneath a campus is an observed need at that facility. So we'll be touching on some of these in more detail as we move along, so I'm not going to spend too much time there, but at the bottom of that, the second page of the scope matrix, it talks about other, these are some of the other ongoing services and value adds that we would bring to a project through development and even beyond construction into the performance phase of a construction project. Okay, so the next page, it's titled Project Opportunities and Solutions. So this starts a high-level recap of some of the most critical needs that we found with some pictures on site. I know a lot of you may not spend a lot of time in mechanical rooms at your campuses, but there's definitely, especially at Eagle Pass High School, as you know, a lot of deferred maintenance. That school is coming due for a comprehensive upgrade, both mechanical, electrical, building automation, in addition to some building envelope, which could include windows, roofing, ceiling, insulation. And then to a lesser extent, on the next page, there's some pictures from Eagle Pass Junior High, Memorial Junior High School, and some of the elementary schools, which have equipment that's in some cases over 20 years old. So it's way beyond useful life. And as you know, some real challenges around heating the buildings, poor zoning, and some needs around building automation at campuses where you haven't already upgraded your automation system. So I'm moving rather quickly, but please stop me if you had a question. This is really just our way of summarizing all the opportunities that we saw across the district from both an energy savings opportunity and a deferred maintenance perspective. This next page I'm on now is the one that subtitled Windows, Doors, Insulation, Building Envelope. So these are some examples of the type of scope of work we would look at, which drives utility savings. The district has done a good job. You've updated your lighting in the past. You've done some other energy efficient updates. But as you heard from the quick budget report, you know, you still spend over $4 million annually on utilities. So still some really good opportunities to reduce that. Okay, moving on. The next page focuses on electrical upgrades, which would be needed both from a safety and deferred maintenance standpoint. You do have some electrical panels and gear that I personally wouldn't want to walk up to and touch. And I'm sure your maintenance staff probably feels the same way about some of that gear. Kudos to your team, though, at the high school especially. I mean, they're doing what they can, right, with limited budget dollars and keeping those students comfortable. I think most days of the year, but as you know, in the peaks of summer and when the cold front comes, it's really a challenge, especially at the high school, at Eagle Pass High School. Okay, moving on, the next page that I'm looking at focuses on some potential lighting opportunities. So you guys are doing a lot of upgrades at your football field and sports facilities, and one of the things you could also consider would be upgrading the field lighting to LED, both for energy savings and, of course, for enhancing the experience on the field for students and staff. If you've been to some other 6A district football fields, you'll notice that LEDs are the kind of the wave that's coming across the state. And then I'm also pointing out here that while you did an LED-wide project several years back, there is still an opportunity to upgrade and go to an even more efficient LED lamps. if that's something that would be of interest to drive even more energy savings. And there's some pictures of some of that samples of that lighting. Jump in if you have anything to add, Aaron. So the next page is a very, very high level breakout of how we sorted the needs and opportunities into sort of two categories. These are not by any means hard and fast budgets, but just our way of focusing on critical equipment, working with Mr. Falon and his team to focus on, hey, what are the most critical needs? And again, I mentioned those are mainly at the two high schools, the Memorial Junior High, which I believe there's a project already moving forward for a lot of the needs there, and then additionally at Eagle Pass Junior High. Then beyond that, what we're calling more than 2 years away, which would most likely be bond funded, would be a larger project that would basically attack or address everything else we've just discussed. And as you know, the total deferred maintenance could add up to a very large, project in the tens of millions, potentially over $30 million of a total district-wide deferred upgrades. And so later there will be a slide that sort of shows a development and construction timeline broken up into two phases of work, and that corresponds with these immediate needs, and then a second phase for bond-funded needs. Okay, the next slide is just a summary of the benefits. I think, we all know that the real reason we're doing these things is to upgrade the learning environment and to keep your staff and students comfortable, and to allow both systems to be brought up to current energy and building codes, to provide better indoor air quality and lighting, and to provide safer and more secure environments for the classroom. So ultimately, these are the things we're connecting back to and why you want to focus on a long-range plan to make these kind of upgrades. The next page is our just initial estimate. We ran your utility usage over the past year. There's a bit of an eye chart on the bottom of this slide, which is just a way of sort of summarizing your electric and natural gas spend across the facilities that we looked at, and highlighting some of the outliers in terms of high energy users. But the part I'd focus on is on the upper left. Basically, there is still an opportunity with these projects to find a big chunk, an additional large reduction in utility savings. That could be over $400,000 annually. And in a project that can utilize those savings over the life cycle of a project, that could add up to a significant offset to the investment. So, we're looking at something $13 million, maybe more, in life cycle savings that can be pulled forward to help offset the cost of a large project. Again, these are preliminary numbers. Those savings could change, and they would be broken out by the phase of work based on the scope that we would develop in each phase. So the next page I mentioned is just a high-level schedule. I won't spend a lot of time here, but this shows you how this work could be broken out into multiple phases, could be more than 2 phases as well. A phase 1 could be developed this year, 2025. Construction could begin in the fall. A phase 2 could align with your bond and move into construction in 2026. Kind of lays out a pathway to develop and install all of this work in a pretty short time frame, at least in the construction world. So the next slide, we mentioned that we were looking at potential solutions around renewable energy, ways to hedge against future utility increases. So that could be done with solar. Solar is being incentivized now through the ITC federal tax rebate program at a level that it hasn't in a long time. So Eagle Pass could qualify for 40, 50%, potentially even more of the cost of solar projects being reimbursed by the federal government. So these are just some samples of what solar that we've built looks like, and how you could install solar as ground mount on roofs of buildings, or even in student-facing areas for outdoor learning spaces. And then the next slide is the one that has the 3 screens shown on the desktop there. This is a value-added solution that we would include in any project we develop for the district, which is a long-term budget planning tool that we call capital asset planning. It's a web-based tool where a team of engineers would inventory all the assets across the district that you want captured in this long-term planning tool. That could be HVAC, plumbing, it could be kitchen assets, it could be your vehicle fleets, buses, literally anything you want to track, keep a current cost and maintenance record for, and then use that database with our team to keep it current to allow you to do 1 year, 5 year, 10-year long-range budget planning. And this is something we would include as part of a project. It helps you guys keep good inventory on all your assets district-wide, and is something that really helps you plan going into a bond for what exact deferred maintenance are you going to tackle at which schools and when. Okay, Aaron, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Paige. The next page is just a roadmap of kind of what the next steps would be if the district decides you'd like to move forward and in the planning process. The next step would be to maybe allow us to visit with the staff to negotiate a contract moving forward, and it would be on a fee-based, not on a contract for doing the project, but mainly coming in and start the design and planning and working with the district together to create a good plan that will meet your budget and that will also meet the future bond projects as well. So if we were to do that, we'd be working together, like I said, with the district, phasing it out. We'll work with the district on phasing plan or larger projects, whatever makes sense for the district. And it's done with a comprehensive approach. So that's what we'd like to come back and visit with the district about. The next page is just a snapshot of some of the references that we have throughout the state. We've got over 1,000 projects nationwide. We've done over 280 projects just in Texas. Currently, in this area, we completed a project with San Felipe del Rio a few years back. We're saving them. We were able to come in and save them $1.1 million a year in savings. We're working on a phase 2 right now and the bond project with them. We're currently under contract with the county, Maverick County, doing a project for them. We're working with the city currently, and we're also working with the Waterworks, and that's kind of the relationship I have with Mr. Barrera, and that's the conversation that I had with them when I mentioned earlier that I was talking to him. So we have several accolades on the left side of the page that you can see. We've been ranked the #1 company in the world based on our competition, and we'd like to bring some of those expertise that we have and help support the district in the future. So at this, I'll go ahead and open it up to any questions that you may have.
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. I noticed that you've got solar panels. The solar panels include any stored energy, any stored electrical energy?
That is an option.
Or is it not cost effective to have backup generators? I'm talking about maybe a prolonged, blackout.
Yeah, definitely a system like that is definitely going to be costly. And what we would want to do is the investment tax credit, which is a program through a federal program right now. We looked into it for this area. You would qualify for about 50% reimbursement from this doing a project like this, maybe even up to 60% reimbursement. But to answer your question, yes, it's got great benefits. It's a costly project other than just doing a solar project. But if you wanted some backup to help support some of your buildings on emergency situations or for housing during natural disasters and things like that, we could definitely look into developing something like that.
Well, but your solar panels, in case of a power failure, would they be enough to cover the needs of the building?
Yeah, I'm going to let the engineer answer that.
Right, for long-term power outages, typically you see diesel or natural gas backup generators, especially at any kind of critical facility. Now, with a large enough battery storage microgrid system, which would be potentially a combination of all three, solar, battery backup, and natural gas generators, then you could have short-term and long-term backup power
Would-
solutions. But we're
Would the
talking
would the solar panels take you off the grid?
not in and of themselves alone.
Okay.
No, not without battery storage or a combination of generators and something else.
Not by itself, but I think sometimes with batteries it helps. But to answer your question, Mr. Lipson, I think that might bring down the savings too, because that's kind of expensive too to have
Yes.
all the battery bank.
It's not cost effective.
Yeah, often the solar systems are sized for a 70% offset of the building, and the savings we showed in the slides you have don't account for any kind of solar systems at all. So, but good question.
Can I ask a question? Has any other school district done where they do the battery storage, where they have the containers where they do battery storage and then eventually convert off the grid to the AC, to DC, and then sell back to the grid as a revenue stream for any districts? Have you know of that by any chance?
I don't believe, none of our Texas projects, but in California, we have a few of those.
Yeah, the most that we've seen in terms of battery storage on project we've developed would be your district data center, where your IT is housed. They might have a battery backup for just the data center that's solar powered, or like a central storage for food, central kitchen with walk-in coolers and freezers. Maybe that could be battery backed up for several hours. Yeah.
This is a kind of random question for us. The new track, will that have LED lighting? Maybe something that we might want to look at since we're already doing this. So, we're not doing it already, but I think it'd be something smart to look at since everything is changing to that and probably more cost effective too. So
The LED lighting was not included in the initial bid for the track system. And that's why we're reusing the lighting system that was there. Yes. But definitely something to discuss.
Just a random question over here, but I think it is something that we do definitely need to look at. So recommend to look at it already if it's going to save us too. Any more questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will move to action items. Number 1, consideration approval of the interlocal purchasing cooperative method, the purchase of HVAC products, installation, labor-based solutions, and related products and services from E3 Integral Solutions, Inc., pursuant to the interlocal purchasing system contract 210205 for Memorial Junior High HVAC upgrade, and to amend the budget accordingly to include matters related to this project.
Yes, this item, we have a representative from E3. Just in case you have any questions, this item, we had 2 proposals, and one is substantially less. If you have any questions, we have Mr. Savarino couldn't be here, but he's a representative.
Okay. So we have a consideration for approval. Do we have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion by Trustee Hiller. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Gonzalez. Any other questions? If not, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, consider and take appropriate action to approve the innovative course team sport officiating. Mr. Mijares?
Yes, this is an innovative course that we're looking to bring in next year in order for our students to be able to become certified officials. Any questions? We have Mr. Rene Martinez here. Rene. Mr. Vielma, sorry. Mr. Vielma here to address him.
Is this under the CTE?
No, it's not under CTE.
Board President, board members, we are here to submit for your consideration and approval the innovative course of team sport officiating. Because it's an innovative course, we would need board approval to offer it to our students. This course will create an opportunity for our high school students to prepare to become certified as a sport official. This course would give students an elective credit and future opportunities for officiating in sports.
Mr. Vilma, where would this take place? And would it be in both high school and WIN, or
This course would be for both high schools. It would be offered to high school students in both CC WIN and Eagle Pass High School.
a semester long?
It would be a semester long, yes, and we are considering it beginning August of next year if with your approval.
This is,
Go ahead.
is this for officiating sports?
Yes, so our students would get an opportunity to be TASL certified.
Okay.
So we would certify through the Texas Association of Sport Officiating. So they would be able to go on, let's say after high school, if they go to college, they could officiate sports wherever they're going to college. They could officiate while they're in high school after they've been certified to do sub-varsity sports
Okay.
while they're in high school.
And Mr. Vilma, I'm sorry.
No, no.
Sorry. What sports would this encompass, and how would this benefit our, just to elaborate, how would this benefit our district?
So one of the considerations is we do have an aging sport official group, right? And so we don't have a lot of sport officials.
I was about to
So
say
we would
that.
be bringing in new blood.
That's a nice way to put it.
That's true.
It would also allow for our students to be able to make some financial gains from it. Our sport officials do get paid, and it would also free up some of the stress of the current sport officials from officiating all of these different sporting events. They could not, during high school, be able to officiate a varsity game, but they could officiate any sub-varsity, so JV, junior high, so on and so forth.
And which sports, Mr. Vilma?
So right now we're looking at basketball, football, volleyball, and softball, baseball, and soccer.
Perfect.
Now,
Wow.
it has to be, each sport is individual, so they would have to be certified in each particular sport.
This is this is excellent. You're right. A few years ago, I officiated basketball for 25 years, and there is a generational passing of the baton now with sports officials in our community.
It is so hard to find officials, good officials, and in our opinion, as a coach, right, good officials, but they are, getting out after a few years, and a lot of the younger ones don't like to be told by, yelled at by coaches and stuff. So the cycle continues, but it is a good thing for our kids. Eventually, like Mr. Vilma said, eventually these kids can't umpire or referee varsity games, but if they get certified, they can form a tassel here and be able to do all the games from high school, even college at some point.
I have a question. Does this serve as a springboard for maybe a collegiate career in this? Is it going to count for credit for them if they go pursue this as a career? Will they get credit at the collegiate level for the certification that they receive with us?
So they would be, if they become certified, they would be part of the Texas Association of Sports Official, so they could continue to move on that route. Most of that association, they usually have chapters. So for example, there's a Valley chapter, there's a San Antonio chapter. And then from there, they continue to get more training and get more notoriety.
I look at it as a financial incentive for them as a career choice. They're just going to have that much, a little bit of a head start on anybody else that's starting new. And if it helps them as far as their career is concerned or their future, then it's a good thing all the way around.
That's exactly right. As they move along, they get points with a tassel. So depending on what level they're umping that game, they'll get 1 point at the junior high level. They'll get 2 as a JV and so on. So as they go on through the years, they can
But
Prohibitively.
Yeah.
what you mentioned, Tom, is very important, that we could eventually get, we have a local Tasso
Right.
chapter here, which would, really put us at a different level.
Yes.
And with hopefully a university coming in, that would be very helpful too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a certification to teach this? Who's gonna, in case you do incorporate it or we decide to do it, is there somebody already in line that's gonna be a coach or?
So the required certification has to be physical education, any level. So we would have to look at anybody that has that certification to teach the course, but we would also be bringing in a TASO representative to make sure that they give the right instruction for that specific sport. Of course, the instructor here would be one of our PE teachers to give the instruction and guidance and follow the TEKS, because we do have certain TEKS that we have to teach the kids. But then we would bring in somebody from TASO to certify them. That way they give them all of their certifications.
So we're not only creating an opportunity for the kids, but we're also creating an opportunity for PE employees already that can further themselves as well.
Yes.
All right, thank
Are we
you.
hoping to have this by next year?
We would begin in August of
Perfect.
this coming year.
Okay, any other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I so move. Oh, well.
Motion by trustee Lipson. Do we have a second? Second by trustee Barrera. No other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Vilma.
Thank you.
Next, we have consider and take appropriate action to accept E-rate RFP number 25001245 for internet service.
Yes, this is for our internet service, and Mr. Camarillo is here just in case anybody has any questions.
We getting anything any better or?
No, this is just for the internet service provider. A contract is due at the end of this year for renewal, and we're proposing to keep the same company that we currently have.
Same price?
I don't recall if it's an increase or a decrease. Mr. Munoz, do you recall if it's a, nope, Mr. Munoz is not here. But it should be right about the same price point. He was there.
All right, Ross. All right, questions?
You're talking about internet service. Is it, do our facilities have the same problem that like we have in our homes where they just drop us? Or the service goes out?
It depends. Most of the time, I mean, we do have a 10 gigabit line going into our district that we all share. But I mean, just like anything, if somebody hits a telephone pole, your internet service may be out. Somebody digs somewhere in, I mean, most of the time that we're down is because somebody has cut our fiber somewhere along the way. And we've been up to 2 or 3 days without internet service. We don't have a redundancy plan. We could potentially get redundancy, but we have to completely outbuy it. This particular E-rate service, depending from year to year or from cycle to cycle, depending on our economically disadvantaged students, we can go as high as a 90% discount, which means that the district pays for 10%. In this particular case, we're doing an 80-20, where the federal government, the FCC to be more specific, will pay 80% reimbursement. We pay the 20%. We usually pay it up front, and then at the end of the year, submit all our invoices for the year, and then we get their 80% reimbursement.
So actually, we do have some justification to think about a broadband project in our community.
Yes.
We could potentially do that.
So this is from our buying board, Mr. Camarillo?
No, this is for, we go through a Region 12, and we go through their RFP process, and we go through something called a 470 and a 471 process, where we have to put it out nationally, and then companies go ahead and bid through Region 12, which is our consulting firm. And once we go through the process, then we go through our local process of evaluating, and we have a system, as you can see on page 81, and decide. This will be the second contract that we've had in the last 6 years. And we're trying to catch this contract up with the next contract, which is, we have two different contracts. We have their ISP, which is, they provide the internet service for us, and then we have a second contract that actually distributes the internet service between our main, the Luna Center, to all our 27 locations. So this is just, we usually do 5-year contracts, but because we're trying to get them at the same time, that's why we only recommending, or we only did 3-year contracts.
And we're going with which company?
It's called EM3 Networks, which is a subcontractor of AT&T.
Okay. So we need to take action?
Yes, it's a motion. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Hiller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Martinez. No other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4, consider and take appropriate action on the request to establish a facilities improvement committee composed of community members and EPISD administrators.
Yes, this is a committee that we've been meeting in our officer meetings, and I believe our board president is going to ask every board member to maybe contribute with 2 community members so that we can start looking at the logistics of our improvement of our entire EPISD facilities, and maybe make some recommendations for if we need to go to a bond or anything like that. Now, I have already met with David Gonzalez on some issues that we have with the bond, and we're looking to leverage whatever we have in fund balance to see if we can leverage it with a bond, but it's more of an exploratory committee.
Let me get my 2 cents worth. I'm I don't know, somebody else here may have participated in the last bond issues we had for the SAC that took us 3 bond elections to get it approved. It's really important who goes on this committee. It's got to be a really good cross-section of the community. It's got to be, especially because we're going to go ask people to pass a bond election. And I think the committee has to put forth where we're going to for the future. And sometimes that's very difficult. And most especially now when before we used to build a high school for, I don't know, 30 or 40 million. I may be off, but right now to build a high school campus, you're
more than 100.
You're over $100 million. And when you start talking about millions of dollars, it scares people. Rightly so. But it is very important that we start thinking about this for the future of our facilities and where we're going with the growth that's coming. And I know they've done a wonderful job of utilizing our facilities right now and upkeeping them and doing maintenance on them. But in the future, sooner or later, we are going to need additional facilities. So I think this is will be a real important committee that we really need to try to get the right people on it so that we can have the backing of the community. You will find that those of us before, when they did the last one, I was part of the younger generation, and the older generation more than likely always opposes bond issues. Well, now I'm the older generation, and I mean, we need to keep that in mind so that we can get it across to everybody in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lipson. So there is action to be taken. Do we have a motion to establish a facilities improvement committee?
I so move.
A motion. We have a motion by trustee Martinez. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Gonzalez. No other questions or comments?
I have one question. I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Do we know how many members of this committee there are going to be?
We were talking about maybe anywhere from 21 to 25. two from each board. I mean, two for each board member, and then the others will be,
Administration?
yes,
Okay, that's,
administration, principals, things like that.
thank you.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Now we will move to consent items. We have 1 through 4. Any questions on the consent items? If not, do we have a motion?
So move. Sorry,
Yes, go ahead.
This is probably for Mr. Mijares. The change orders back from, have they been paid already, those change orders? For the construction of the
Yes.
counseling department?
Yes, the change orders are added to the contract, and then we do payment applications, and once the work is done, it's certified by the architect that the work has been done, then we pay it. So all we do is add it to the contract.
Okay, but it's not.
Not until they do the work and it's certified.
Thank you. That was my question on that, going back to December. Thank you.
Do we have a motion to accept the consent items?
So move.
We have a motion by trustee Hiller. Do we have a second? Second by trustee Barrera. If no other questions, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Now the Board of Trustees of the Eagle Pass Independent School District will convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, to deliberate upon the following matters. Number 1, the board will hear the request to hire personnel to fill vacancies pursuant to TGC 551.074, and the board will hear the Level 3 grievance appeal of George Riojas pursuant to TGC 551.074. Do I have a motion to convene in closed session? We have a motion by trustee Barrera. Do we have a second? Second by trustee Perry. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. The time is 7:20. The date is Tuesday, February 11, 2025, and the Board of Trustees is now in closed session, and no action will be taken in closed session. 5 in the Board of Trustees of the Eagle Pass Independent School District is now an open session, and we will move to item number 9. Number 1, the board will consider and take appropriate action on the request to hire personnel to fill vacancies pursuant to TGC 551.074. Eight.
820.
No, 810.
810.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I move to approve the request to hire personnel to fill vacancies pursuant to the TGC 551.074.
We have a motion by Trustee Barrera. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Hiller. If no other questions, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Unanimous. Number 2, the board will consider and take appropriate action on the Level 3 grievance appeal of George Riojas. Do we have a motion? For a motion? There is no motion. The grievance dies. Okay. There was no motion. We will now go to correspondence and information. Mr. Mijares?
Yes, just some reminders. Governor's Camp, March 5th through the 8th, is in Galveston. Let Maricela know if you're interested in attending. That way we can get rooms for you guys. Reminder, cybersecurity and human trafficking online training. The deadline is March 7th. Also, just to advise everybody, and maybe you can make a note, and I'll put Maricela to put in your calendars. April regular board meeting is scheduled from Tuesday, April 8th, has been rescheduled to Monday, April 7th. Okay. I have a superintendent's meeting in San Antonio. Plus, we're going to do the baseball recognition, and Coach Mendoza cannot be here on Tuesday because they have games.
Thank you, Mr. Mijares. Now we move to adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Trustee Hiller. Do we have a second? Second by Trustee Martinez. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Time is 8:12, Tuesday, February 11th, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.